What if I told you that your own mind, the very thing you trust to make decisions, is actually, well, it's systematically sabotaging your success? It's true. See, your brain isn't really designed for success in our modern world. It's designed for survival in a world that, frankly, doesn't exist anymore. So right now, it's filtering and distorting information in ways you're probably not even aware of.
So let's just dive right into that. What if the one thing that's holding you back isn't your job or your circumstances, but your own thinking? You feel like you're being totally logical, but what if, in reality, you're kind of trapped in a mental prison that you built yourself? A prison that's keeping you stuck, struggling, and just settling for less than you deserve.
So, where is this prison? Well, it's not made of bars and walls, obviously. It's built from these invisible flaws in the very wiring of our brains, these hardwired errors that twist our perception of reality every single day. And here's where it gets kind of wild. We're not just talking about a few little quirks here. Scientists have actually identified over 180 of these flaws. They're called cognitive biases, and these aren't just occasional oopsies. They are systematic, predictable errors in thinking that affect every single one of us. And this is the real kicker. These biases work on autopilot. They operate totally below the surface, quietly shaping what you see, what you believe, and the decisions you make, all without you ever knowing it's happening. The crazy part is, your biased thinking doesn't feel biased at all. It just feels like you're seeing the clear, obvious truth. Okay, so how do these things actually mess with our lives? Because they have very real-world costs. We're talking about biases that keep us in bad jobs, toxic relationships, and literally prevent us from seeing golden opportunities that are staring us right in the face. Let's look at a few of the most common culprits. First up, we've got confirmation bias. This might be the most destructive of them all. Your brain, believe it or not, doesn't actually seek truth. It seeks confirmation. So once you believe something, your mind becomes like this heat-seeking missile for any piece of evidence that supports it, effectively trapping you inside a little reality bubble of your own making. And then there's the sunk cost fallacy. You know this one. Ever stayed in a dead-end job or a relationship that's going nowhere just because you've already put so much time and energy into it? Yep, that's this fallacy at work. You're making a decision based on the past, not the future, and it keeps you completely trapped. And this slide just illustrates the framing effect so perfectly. Just look at this. On the left, a 90% survival rate. Sounds pretty good, right? You'd probably take those odds. But on the right, a 10% mortality rate. And suddenly it sounds absolutely terrifying, but it's the exact same statistic. The only thing that changed was the frame, and that can totally change our decisions. So, if our minds are a prison, is there a key? Yes, absolutely. And it's not about being smarter or having a higher IQ. The key is mastering the art of clear, deliberate thinking. It's called critical thinking. Now, to really get this, we got to understand a little bit about how our brain works. The psychologist Daniel Kahneman talks about two systems. System one is our autopilot. It's fast, intuitive, and it's where all our biases live. Then you've got system two, which is our pilot, slow, analytical, and deliberate. The problem? System two is lazy. Our brain defaults to the easy biased system one just to save energy. So critical thinking is really just this. It's the skill of intentionally hitting the brakes on that automatic programming. It's about knowing when to switch off the autopilot and purposely engage that slow, effortful, analytical system two brain, especially when the stakes are high. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we make it practical? Let's get you set up with a few core tools for your new mental toolkit. And honestly, it's way simpler than you might think to get started. Here's a simple 3-step framework. First, you just need awareness, right? So you learn to spot the biases that are shaping your thoughts. Second, you build a new habit to constantly question your own assumptions. And finally, you start to apply new frameworks called mental models to see the world with a lot more clarity. It's just a loop. Identify, question, and apply. But let's focus on step 2 for a second, because it is by far the most powerful. The most important skill you can ever develop is learning to question your own assumptions. Just start asking yourself things like, why do I really believe this? What evidence is out there that might prove me wrong? And here's the big one. What would it actually take for me to change my mind about this? Now, that third step is about using something called mental models. Don't let the name intimidate you. Just think of them as simple maps of reality. For instance, you've probably heard of the 80-20 rule, right? It just shows that in a ton of situations, roughly 80% of the results come from just 20% of the effort. Knowing that simple map helps you instantly focus on what really matters.
So, when you start combining these tools, recognizing your biases, questioning your assumptions, applying these mental models, something really profound starts to happen. And this isn't just some intellectual exercise. We're talking about a real personal transformation.
The source material for this whole explainer puts it just perfectly. This isn't just about being smarter. This is about becoming unstoppable. It's about giving yourself an almost unfair advantage in every part of your life simply by learning how to think about your thinking. So, here's the main takeaway. By rewiring your brain, you are literally breaking free from those automatic, unconscious patterns. You get freedom from being manipulated, freedom from your own self-sabotage, and the freedom to consciously build the life you actually want, not just the one that happens to you by default. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Your current way of thinking created the life you have right now. By changing how you think, you can absolutely change your future. The only question left is, what life will you create next?